New report from the left-wing Daily Beast says that loaded liberals are so concerned about the prospect of Donald Trump winning the 2024 election, they're actually dishing out millions of dollars for what are being called golden visas. Now, this is according to lawyers who handle such cases. The wealthy wokesters are spending their money for visas that allow them to escape to countries like Austria, Turkey, Jordan, and the Caribbean. Now, according to one of the attorneys, there are people who are convinced that this country is filled with lunatic Christian fundamentalists and good old boys from the South, and that's what we're going to become. So they're making plans. Others have given the Supreme Court's overturning of Roe versus Wade as the reason their contingency plans. Well, joining us with the reaction is today's company, the host of O'Connor and Company, sounds very similar to this show, Larry O'Connor, and senior policy analyst at the Independent Women's Forum, Carrie Sheffield. Carrie, I'm going to start with you. We hear about this. We've heard about this since 2016. All of these rich and famous left-wingers want to leave the country if they think that someone on the right, particularly Donald Trump's, going to get elected. But let's look at where they want to go, where these golden visas that they're shelling out tons of money are for. They want to go to places like Malta, where abortion is illegal in all cases. They want to go to Austria, where Amnesty International has raised concerns about restrictions to the right to freely peaceful assemble. They want to go to Jordan, where women need the permission of a male guardian to marry. And they want to go to Turkey, where, among other things, political opposition figures have been banned from politics and sent to prison. So these are the places that they want to go to. They don't want to stay here in America, where, frankly, when you look at where abortion sits on the spectrum, we're actually a pretty progressive country when it comes to abortion policy. They want to go to these other places where it's actually rather restrictive.
Yeah, not to mention a lot of those places you mentioned have zero gay rights. Same thing when liberals attack Israel, which is a very pro-gay friendly place, and go for Palestine, where you could be killed for being gay. But yes, I say sayonara, mwah, goodbye, good riddance, Godspeed, go with God. You know, like the fact that these individuals are doing this is so ignorant, because Q found that 160 million people in the world want to come to America. And how many of them actually literally die to come here? So I really don't care what these celebrities say. They're ignorant. They need to use their passport, go overseas, see how the rest of the world lives, and then maybe they might become educated in the true sense of the word. And the fact is that liberals are so bigoted and intolerant, they don't have conservative friends. University of North Carolina, a study here found that 92% of conservatives say they would befriend a liberal, but only 3% said they would not. But almost a quarter of liberals said they would not befriend a conservative. Axios found similar polling, and Jonathan Haidt over at NYU found that conservatives are better at articulating liberal viewpoints than vice versa. So really what this is it's just pure ignorance. They don't actually know what conservatives believe, and that's why they're afraid.
Right.
Well, they don't, as John pointed out, they don't even know what other countries believe, because they want to go to places that have more restrictive, laws or policies, Larry. The other thing is, if we can pull back up that picture of these celebrities, if I recall, I think all those people still live in America. They didn't leave. They didn't get their golden passport or visa. So these are empty promises that they're making. But Sean and I were talking about this earlier. I think maybe we should set up some sort of fund and allow them to move. Say, hey, you need a plane ticket? Sure, we'll take care of that. I mean, we spend so much money on immigration into this country. Why not let the people out of this country who don't want to be here?
Yeah, you're right. Promises. We've heard this before, and it wasn't just from the 2016 or 2020 election. They said this about Romney, and they said it about McCain. And they said, please remember when the Dixie Chicks said that they were embarrassed about George W. Bush. They constantly say this because they're whiners. They don't really love this country. They only love it when they're in charge. But here's the funny thing. They're in charge of everything in this country. They're in charge of academia. They're in charge of pop culture. They're in charge of the music industry. They're getting in charge of the sports, major sports leagues in this country now. You can't even go there for escape. They're in charge of the media, but they lose an election, a presidential election, and they want to go home. Yeah, that's a totalitarian. They want everything their way. Actually, they're worse than totalitarians. They're crybaby totalitarians. And I was promised Rosie O'Donnell and Alec Baldwin would leave after 2016. I'm still waiting for that. Until Rosie O'Donnell leaves, I won't be happy. We know why Alec Baldwin can't leave. I think it's the ankle bracelet. He's not allowed to fly. You know what I'm talking about.
We do. We've been covering that. I actually think that if you're not proud to be an American, get out. I don't see any reason why there's nothing that compels you to stay. Yeah. Get out. Carrie, I do want to shift gears here because White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre was asked yesterday about election deniers, and I want to play you what she had to say about that.
60 to 70% of Republicans, I'm not even saying MAGA Republicans or this Republican, 60 to 70% of Republicans believe that Donald Trump is the leader of their party. And so if you are saying that he is a fascist, what are they? If you are saying that he is a white supremacist, what are they? Right. If you are saying that he is a racist, what are they? Because if you follow someone that has hate in their heart, and I believe that he does, then you are complicit in that. And you don't get a pass on it. You do not get a pass.
Actually, Carrie, that was from The View. Sorry, I got that mixed up here. But the point that I want to get to on that is that there is Sonny Hostin saying that if you support Donald Trump, if he's the leader of the party, then every single person who supports him is a bad person.
Well, it's a lie.
That's half the country.
Hollywood, liberal Hollywood, for decades embraced Donald Trump. They loved him, whether it was Al Sharpton or Jesse Jackson Jr. or Barbara Walters. Steven Spielberg had a condo in Trump Tower. So this is bald, transparent politicization, because as soon as he became a very outspoken Republican, that's when they flipped immediately. So you want us to ignore 3 decades of you cozying up to him and saying he's a great guy. If he was this closet white supremacist Hollywood, why didn't you out him? A woman like her, she's so transparently, she's making stuff up. She's pulling out these facts from nowhere. They're not even facts. These are alternative facts, and they're partisan. And the truth is, the real semi-fascist here is President Biden. He's keeps getting slapped down by the court because he wants to do executive overreach, whether it's the EPA or the student loan forgiveness. I mean, that is bald-faced illegal grab of the executive. Congress has the power of the purse. So I could go on, but she's obviously lying, and she has no credibility.
Right. Larry, I only have 30 seconds, but I really want to make this point quickly. Karine Jean-Pierre was asked, if you're going to make a big point and the White House is going to talk about election deniers from the 2020 election, then you, Karine Jean-Pierre, you talk about how the 2016 election was stolen. Aren't you, in fact, an election denier? And she says, I don't want to relitigate the 2016 election.
Yeah, I'm sure she doesn't. Listen, anyone who read the book, the book Shattered, which was by liberal journalists who had access to the Clinton campaign after her humiliating loss, and you remember how great that night was, Sean Spicer. After that humiliating loss, she huddled with John Podesta and the other members of her campaign team, and there's a huge part of the book that talks about this. They came up with the Russian collusion hoax, and they knew they had the Russian dossier on their side, and they filtered it into the media. They filtered it into the Justice Department. They began the insidious degradation of the Justice Department and the FBI and their investigation into the Trump administration that actually really crippled them for the first 3 years of the administration. So wonder they got done what they got done. The original election deniers in this country are the Democrats. They've been contesting these elections since 2000, and I'm sure Karine Jean-Pierre would like to forget it, but the internet never forgets. She should have been challenged immediately on day one. It shouldn't have taken this long.
Right, and I put her among Hillary Clinton, Stacey Abrams, all these other people. I guess it only depends on which election you deny. You get called election denier in the media.
Oh, we don't want to relitigate the past, point. Let's just move forward. Let's not relitigate that.
Yeah, of course. Just litigate 2020, not 2016. Larry, Carrie, thank you both very much.